It's Tuesday, February 14th, 2017. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. We're going to start off the show with our chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. Then we'll chat with DPW Director Dan Santos to find out how his staff is handling all the weather activity of late. And finally, we'll learn about a group of high school students working to raise money for the Duffy Health Center on this episode of Barnstable Today. Now let's get a look at today's top headlines. Barnstable could have up to 10 new seasonal package stores. Licensing authority members were notified last week that the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission will allow the town of Barnstable up to 10 additional seasonal all-alcohol package store licenses. Licensing Authority Chair Martin Hoxie says a public hearing will be held before any decisions are made.
On our next meeting, which is March 6th, this we put down for discussion regarding what we just found out last Friday, that the ABCC has declared that the town of Barnstable has up to 10 additional seasonal all-alcohol package stores. And before we entertain any applications, it's going to be discussed on the feasibility of these licenses, whether there's a public need for them, and the fee schedule. So we have a lot of work to do before we actually entertain applications.
And again, the Licensing Authority will begin that discussion at its next meeting, March 6th. Residents will now be able to purchase alcohol before noon on Memorial Day. The Licensing Authority unanimously approved the change during this week's meeting. Prior to the vote, license holders were prohibited from selling alcohol on Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and before noon on Memorial Day. The Licensing Authority voted to remove the Memorial Day restriction. The Barnstable Land Trust hopes to preserve a 3.5-acre property on Church Street in West Barnstable. The organization will present plans to the Conservation Commission later today. The Land Trust hopes to get a letter of support from the Conservation Commission before going in front of the Community Preservation Committee. The Conservation Commission meets today at 3 in the Town Hall hearing room. The Planning Board will review a proposed regulatory agreement with Shoestring Properties. Shoestring Properties is planning to tear down 2 properties located on School Street and South Street and replace them with a 33-unit condominium complex. The Planning Board meets at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Up next, we're going to chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. Joining me now live over the phone, Police Chief Paul McDonald. Chief, the town has been in a little bit of a battle with the local needle exchange here in Hyannis. That case is actually going before the Supreme Court of Massachusetts today. Tell me a little bit about this case.
The case started about a year and a half ago. The police department, DPW, the sheriff's department were in the process of cleaning up numerous homeless camps in South Hyannis, south of South Street. During the cleanup process, we literally found thousands upon thousands of used needles that have been used for injecting drugs. When we did a little investigation, we found out that the needles were coming from the needle exchange program located at 428 South Street, Hyannis. We then set up an informant. We set the informant in, and we just simply asked the informant, just go in there and ask for a needle and see what you get. The individual did, and when she came back out, she literally was giving a box of 100 hypodermic needles, and then a whole kit, including tourniquets, sterile water, heating tins to cook your drugs up, and a safe sex kit. We then brought it to the Board of Health. We brought it to the town manager. We brought it to the town council. They did their investigation. The legal department got involved in it, and then because they did not follow their own rules and regs set up by the Department of Public Health, we tried to close down. They went to the Barnstable Superior Court, and they got an injunction against the town, prohibiting them from closing them. So they did remain open for the last year and a half. The town then appealed to the MSJC, and that case is going forward today. So it's a big case for the town of Barnstable, and particularly the village of Hyannis.
And I know, Chief, a lot of residents, too, have been complaining about finding needles in locations. I know a lot of work was done, too, to try and work this out outside of court. Some of the things that were considered were the needle exchange staff, scanning some areas, making sure that they assisted in the needle cleanup process. How has that been going over the past year?
That's been going pretty well. Part of the injunction, the justice at the Barnstable Superior Court, mandated monthly meetings between the town, the police department, and the needle exchange, and those meetings have been ongoing to try to find some middle ground, how we can all work together. And one of the biggest concerns that everybody had was these needles. Needles are being found everywhere. They're being found on Main Street. They're being found on the beaches. They then set up kind of like a clean team, and whenever we needed them, they will come out, and we pretty much eradicated that problem. I can't remember last time we've had a call for a hypodermic needle on the sidewalk in the street or at the beaches. So we've kind of got over that hurdle, but still there are requirements to have that needle exchange open. And two of the biggest requirements is, one, Department of Public Health has to approve it, and then you must get local approval from your local government, either the selectman, the town manager, or the town council. In our case, obviously, the town council has to approve it, and that's the issue. That's what the issue right now. It never came before town council to get the approval, and that's what we're basing our case on.
Yeah, and so there's a little bit of ambiguity in the law, I think, too, that they are arguing that they have the right, that no one can prohibit them from giving out needles. And we understand the purpose, which is, of course, to prevent the spread of disease such as the AIDS virus as well as hepatitis with the sharing of needles. So their goal is to prevent that. But at the same time, we also have to take into consideration the public safety of the residents around us. So it's a really tricky balance to strike, I think.
It's a delicate situation, and I get what they're trying to do, and exactly what you said. They're trying to prevent the spread of hepatitis and AIDS, and I get that. But over the past 12 months, we've had 11 people overdose in the town of Barnstable from drug overdoses from injection of either cocaine, heroin, or fentanyl. And I don't think we had any deaths because of hepatitis and AIDS. So, it's a balancing act. I get it, but there are rules in place, and at the very least, the rules should be followed.
And that, of course, going to the Massachusetts Supreme Court today. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief. We really appreciate it and look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Talk to you then.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Our guest today, of course, Police Chief Paul McDonald. So much more to come on Barnstable this morning. Up next, we're going to learn about a group of students working to raise money with a concert for the Duffy Health Center. Duffy Health Center in Hyannis is working on a new program. To talk more about that, Dominique DeCola is joining us. She is a recovery support navigator. I want to talk a little bit about the medication-assisted treatment program, and I think that it recently actually got expanded to younger adults or even teens.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what is medication-assisted treatment.
So medication-assisted treatment is Suboxone and Vivitrol, and yes, we did just expand to 16 and 17-year-olds. It's for opioid use disorder, and it helps cravings. They help the cravings, but the Vivitrol blocks your opioid receptors, so you can the opioid no longer sticks to your receptor and gets you high.
Yeah, so that even if you were to use it, you wouldn't reap the benefits.
Yes.
So it helps people not really have motivation to use drugs. Is it a tough program for individuals who are taking part?
We're a very strict program as far as we kind of differentiate from a lot of other clinics or Suboxone programs because in our program you need to have behavioral health, you need to urine drug screen weekly, and we do scripts weekly. So at the beginning it's very strict. We want you on track. We're testing your levels, and and you must participate in behavioral health, and we do individual and groups. So there's a lot of components that go into it, as well as medical and case management.
Now, are they receiving both the medical assisted treatment and the mental health therapy at Duffy?
Correct.
Wow, so it's just a one-stop
one-stop shop. Yep.
Yeah, which is really nice. Conveniently located in Hyannis, which is also great. What makes Duffy's program so unique?
Well, there's a million things that makes Duffy unique. But in my experience, I've never worked at a place that cares so much, and that you can stop one place and get all your services, your mental health services, your primary care, your case management, housing. As far as our adolescent program goes, I think what's so unique about it is, one, we're the only place on Cape Cod that is allowed to prescribe 16 and 17-year-olds with Suboxone, and that's great because we need more adolescent services. And another thing is, we actually opened up the whole top apartment to Duffy, so we have a special place for the teens to build life skills, to build, we're going to do cooking classes. Cape Cod Academy actually said they would come in and help tutor, like our kids want to go back to school. It's really amazing. We wrap around them and we give them any service they need right there and then.
You know, what's always impressed me about Duffy, and I've taken a few tours, is that, you know, when it really does, it doesn't feel like a second-rate care facility. This is a first-rate care facility, and all of the individuals who seek treatment at Duffy are treated with such great respect. I think the staff does that as well. It's not just the building and the facility, but the staff really makes. Do you think that's important for people who are taking advantage of programs at Duffy?
Absolutely. I have not met one person at Duffy who doesn't care, you know, and I've never worked in such like a team environment where if one person can't help, the other person can, and we just treat with respect. You know what I mean? We put ourselves in other people's shoes and we treat them how we want to be treated.
I think that's so important for some of these individuals who are really working on recovery. Can you share a success story that you've seen at Duffy?
I have many. Now, these kids come in, so right now, my age range, I'm a case manager, recovery support navigator for 16 to 25. So all my clients are between 16 and 25. And they come in withdrawing, they come in broken, a lot of them homeless, they don't have much support at home. And then you watch them just succeed, and you see the light come back into their eyes, and they're getting jobs, they're going back to school, they're holding jobs, because it's easy to get a job, but to hold a job. You know, they have money in their pocket, they're getting cars back on the road, they're getting off probation. It's like, I think everyone is a success, you know, and as far as our philosophy, like one day without using is a success.
How did you end up working for Duffy?
I've worked at other facilities, Gosnell Peer Recovery Center right up the street, and this came across. I was looking for a job, and this came across, and I was like, oh, that would be like the perfect job for me. I'm in school to be for social work, and I love adolescents, and I love addiction, like recovering addiction, and I said, wow, that would be the perfect job for me. And I applied, and I didn't think I would actually get it. And I did, and I'm so grateful. I've never worked at a place so amazing. It
must feel good, too, at the end of the day, because you're really working to make a difference. So that must feel pretty rewarding. The Cape Cod Academy is actually putting on Shelter from the Storm, a concert to raise money, and they've selected Duffy as the recipient. How will those funds help the Duffy Health Center?
Their funds are going to greatly help us. Like I said the other day, we can't have a good program without money, and like that money is going to go to life skills. It's going to go to art supplies. It's going to go to food to feed the kids. It's going to go to helping them cook. You know what I mean? Transportation is a huge issue. It's going to go to salaries to help to hire people to best wrap around these kids' you know, to help them.
Yeah, so important, such important work. Thank you for stopping by, telling us everything that there is to know about Duffy and its medication-assisted treatment program. We really appreciate it. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Cape Cod Academy is hosting the Shelter from the Storm concert. To learn more about that, we have with us Addy Welch. Thank you so much for joining us. You're a senior at Cape Cod Academy. How long have you been involved with the concert?
I've been involved with the concert since I was a sophomore.
And what does it feel like to raise money for different causes on the Cape?
It's an amazing feeling, honestly. Being able to see where the money goes to, I think that makes it feel so much better. Like last year when we raised money for the Safe Harbor shelter, we got to actually visit the facility and see what our money would be doing and see the rooms that were going to be getting renovated. And I think doing that is it's a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, it makes you want to work a little harder,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And it makes you understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
How do you guys select a person or a charity to fund?
So we have a club at our school. It's called the Human Rights Organization, and it's a group of students in the high school. And every week we meet and we discuss the things going on with the concert and different things like that. And so we have people from different organizations on Cape Cod come in and talk to our club, and they kind of like make a pitch and tell us like what the money would be going to, what their charity is, and then collectively as a group the club gets to decide where the money goes.
Wonderful. And you chose, the club chose Duffy Health Center to be the recipient of this year's concert. What made you guys select Duffy Health Center?
I think because addiction is such a big problem on Cape Cod, and it's something that I think most of the people on Cape Cod, they know someone who's been affected, and I think that it just really hit close to home. And so when we were given this opportunity, that really resonated with everyone, and that's why we wanted to help out.
Yes, tell us a little bit about the concert. Well, lots of different acts perform. How are those acts selected, and how long does it take to put all this together?
Well, it takes about the whole year to get everything going. We start in the fall, where me and the stage manager, Nellie, go with Mr. Brown to different talent shows around Cape Cod. And when we see someone that we think has potential to be in the show, we'll get their contact information, and then we'll have them come to CCA and perform at one of our coffee houses as kind of like an audition process. And we also have like people who've come back from previous shows. So, and then we always like to have like the diversity of different acts. So we really try to make it a good show.
How long is the concert going to be this year?
Well, I think we have about 16 acts this year. I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to run, but probably like an hour and a half.
Wonderful. When is the concert taking place?
It's on February 17th.
And where is it being held?
At the Cape Cod Community College in the Tilden Arts Center.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Love the Tilden Arts Center.
It's a great facility.
How much will people be paying to get entrance to enter the concert?
It is $5 for students and $10 for adults.
So affordable, and you know that money is going to a great cause.
Exactly.
What are you most excited about for this year's concert?
I don't know. All of the acts are so great this year. We have a really good jazz band that's going to be performing from DY. It's an 8-piece jazz band. They're really, really amazing. And we also have a student from from CCA who is amazing on piano. He does classical piano, and he's probably the best pianist I've ever heard. So that's going to be really exciting.
Very exciting. Well, thank you for telling us all about the concert. We really appreciate it. And also, thank you for your hard work for the organizations here in our community. I have a feeling you're going to continue that public service as you move forward in life.
Definitely.
So, what a great place to start. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Joining me now live over the phone is DPW Director Dan Santos. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. Your staff must be getting a little tired.
Well, yeah, I think so. Although we've gotten, periods of rest in between, but we have had, pretty busy couple of weeks with snow and freezing temperatures and rain and all the things that keep us out there trying to keep the roads safe. But I think from everything I've heard from around town, we did a good job. I think people are generally pleased. We, addressed the snow, as we've mentioned in the past, with our pre-treatment, which keeps that snow from, freezing onto our main roads and creating hard pack, and that seemed to work just fine once again. But it's always it's an art to figure it out and to understand what the temperatures are going to be after the storm and whether we're going to get rain or not, and all these things go into the mix of how we approach it. So it's like a football game with the strategy.
And I have to say, from an outsider's perspective, the roads looked great to me, and it seemed like on Friday a lot of people really did try and stay off the roads, and that of course always helps your staff.
Yeah, I saw that too, and that was a full blizzard. I mean, that was, while we didn't get a lot of accumulation here in Barnstable, really, but during it, there was complete whiteout conditions and very heavy winds. I think they were the highest in the state recorded here on the Cape during that storm. So that creates issues with keeping up with the heavy hourly snowfalls and then the drifting. But once it stopped, we cleaned it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, have you taken a look at the forecast? I've been meaning to check it out. I keep hoping for some warmer temperatures. Hopefully, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope we don't get much more snow.
Yeah, there's some out there, and I expect through this month we'll get some more. But
I guess it is February, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
It's
right.
tough, though. I don't like February. I think it's my least favorite month of the entire year because we're all done with winter, and it seems like this is when we get most of our winter activity.
Yeah, and then on the Cape, spring is usually pretty late.
Yep. Well, we're looking forward to spring, and some things are changing maybe this year, Dan. You actually are having a rate hearing being held in Town Hall today. Talk to me a little bit about this rate change.
Yes, we charge rates primarily with our enterprise accounts, and that's solid waste division, water supply division, and water pollution control division. This year we're not proposing any rate increase with the water pollution control, which is our sewer rates. We are proposing a 9% increase in our water rates for the Hyannis water system. Again, that's just the folks that live in Hyannisport and West Hyannisport and some small area of Centerville. And that's primarily due to the perfluorinated compound contamination that we've been dealing with for the past 2 years. And we've had to spend over $5 million on that problem. And we just have to pay for that. And, the only source of revenue we have right now is our ratepayers. So, unfortunately, we have to propose that increase. Well, at the solid waste, we're proposing an increase just in one area. The per-visit fee for non-sticker holders, we're increasing that from $15 to $20 per visit with a $4 bag for anything over 5 bags. We haven't increased those rates in a number of years along with the sticker fee, and so now I think we've made that an attractive option rather than buying a sticker, and we're not recovering our costs. So,
right.
And then just one other change there is a replacement sticker. We had two different fees there. If you brought your old one back, like if you got a new car, it would be free. And if you didn't bring the sticker back, you'd have to pay $30. We've now just made a $5 flat fee for a replacement sticker.
Great, good to know. So that's happening today, and then I think the process is that those fee increases are then reviewed by the town manager. Is
correct,
that right?
And then he'll decide whether or not he agrees based on the hearing input and his assessment of it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today, telling us everything we need to know about snow cleanup as well as this rate fee hearing today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Talk to you again next week.
Okay. Take care.
Right, bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, Dan Santos, DPW Director. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening around town in today's community calendar. We actually have some really, really fun events coming up. Sturgis Library is celebrating its 150th year, if you can believe that. They're having an open house and a birthday party to celebrate that. The library will provide wine, soft drinks, appetizers, birthday cake. Staff will also be debuting the Sturgis Community Family Tree. They will have exhibits of documents and photographs related to the history of the library. So much fun. The event is free and open to the public. It is taking place Sunday, February 25th from 4 to 6 in the afternoon. So definitely something you're going to want to mark your calendars for. Again, that is free and open to the public. Well, have you ever wondered what it's like on the Iditarod Trail? Videographer Tom Chartrand will talk about his experience covering the annual dog race at the Cotuit Library tomorrow, Wednesday, February 16th at 6:30. The event is free to attend. Call the Cotuit Library for more information. Now here's a rundown of this week's board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. And just a quick correction, the Iditarod Talk at the Cotuit Library is happening Wednesday, the 15th at the Cotuit Library. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. Tomorrow we will chat with CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr about his recent visit with the Homelessness Committee. We're going to chat with Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason about some spring programs, and we'll find out how the real estate market fared in January with Register of Deeds Jack Mead. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.